Okay, so I'm going to do a quick review of two things that work together. Obviously, I'm going to be doing it of the iPad Pro Smart Keyboard in conjunction with this Urban Armor Gear iPad case that's been drop tested and blah, 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 blah. But of course, the special thing about this case is that it works in conjunction with the keyboard. So, I'm going to start with the keyboard. It's not a bad keyboard, but it's mega expensive, right? So it's typical Apple, powered by magnets. I will say this, it disconnects a lot, even though it's sitting there, the keyboard doesn't work. You have to unsnap it, snap it back on, and then it goes. And then when it gets really bad doing that, then you have to restart the darn machine and do a hard reset to get it to keep syncing for a while. That's not the worst of it. I mean, I think it was $168, way too much money. And also, a couple other quickie little problems. So, put my iPad in there, get it in. When it's working, it's absolutely wonderful. There is no backlit keyboard. That is insane for almost $200. You can't use it at night. You can't see a darn thing. So it becomes completely useless then. My main gripe, though, about this keyboard is simple. When the iPad is on the ground, the part that touches the screen, when you close this up and you have it on your iPad and you close the iPad, the part that's now touching your iPad screen was the part that was on the ground. So I do construction stuff. I go from construction site to construction site, and I have to be very careful where I put this down because it picks up dirt and junk and garbage. And then when you close your screen, poof, it's going to be wiping onto your iPad screen, which is ridiculous. This is the second generation iPad Pro 12.9, by the way. Okay, so now let's get to the next thing. Let's get to this. When you want to use the Apple keyboard and you want to do this case, the special thing about this case is it's got the pen, it's got a little kickstand built in, but of course at the bottom you can leave out a certain portion of this product and it allows you to still connect to the keyboard. Now, that's really good that they made that like that. So I'm not using this bottom piece because I'm connecting to the keyboard. So it's an optional piece that they put in there. So again, it's great that they do that. It's great that they make a keyboard like this. This thing though is $90 for a piece of plastic. At Best Buy, I paid 90 bucks for this thing. Of course, it's almost $1,000 iPad, so 90 bucks isn't bad, but it's a piece of plastic for $90. That's insanity. And it wasn't perfect. Let me tell you that. It goes on and off real easy. I'll tell you, that's not bad. It just pulls on and off. It'd probably be a little tougher with that bottom piece. So sticking it on is pretty simple. Just snap it right in. I'm not going to drop test it, but it's supposed to drop test. There is a little kickstand that's very lackluster in the back, but at least it's something. But it gives you a very tall, you can see that viewing angle. I mean, that's not a great viewing angle for a kickstand. I mean, it's almost 90 degrees, which is ridiculously stupid. But hey, look, it holds the pen nice. I can access the buttons nice. It is kind of big and bulky, but it's not heavy. There is a big problem with it though. You can't hold it very well. I mean, doing one hand hold, when you hold it with your left hand on the edge that you don't have the spot because the keyboard connects, there's nothing to grab there. So you're just holding the iPad. There's no, on this side, if you hold it right-handed, it's maybe not so bad because you can kind of grab onto where the pen goes. But on this side, it's terrible. So I did some mods to this, and I'm going to show you. And I think it's the greatest. That's mostly why I'm doing this video, is because it's a simple mod. First things first, I added a pop holder. It's just plastic here, so it sticks real nice. And it would be, I would almost trust it to just do that. This is the big iPad, though. This is the 12-incher. It's a little heavier than most. I don't just trust this thing with its suction cup to hold all that weight. And again, I can just easily peel that off. So what I did was this. I added a shoestring, literally a shoestring. I drilled 4 little holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, the way it's shaped, it's recessed. So right here, this section of it is recessed down and doesn't touch the iPad, whereas this is flush with the iPad. So by doing holes in that little pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, where this string is, it's basically a shoestring, where that shoestring is, it's inside this recess, meaning the iPad sits in there flush and the shoestrings that are back there are in the recess, and it doesn't touch, it doesn't make this thing bulge out. It doesn't change the physical dynamics at all of the iPad. And I just looped it through and tied it with a knot. So now I have this. I can pop out my little thingy if I need to, but I've got a string that I can tie, you know, to different sizes. And it goes through here. And now this sucker's on here, good. Like this really works. Adding this to it is what UAG should have done. They should have put some sort of handle back here that was 360 rotatable or something, or an optional handle or something, because having nothing back there was way insufficient for such a big iPad. With that installed like that, pop this thing back in, and boom. Look how nice this works now. I mean, I'm not even, you know, this thing's really in there. This thing is threaded through 4 holes in there. When I drilled the holes through, I also melted them a little real quick. I just took my soldering iron and I just went beep, beep, beep in each hole like that, just to smooth it out so there's no roughy cracks or whatever like that. Cleaned it up real quick with a razor blade. But this made this case now super usable because I can adjust this however I want. I can make it righty or lefty. I can make it so that if I was doing this kind of orientation, primarily, you know, blah, 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 you know, it's not impossible to figure out, and it took me 5 minutes and a shoestring to modify it. But now it's a case I can use, and the modifications don't get in the way of the hinge. You can see where it's like recessed in the right little channels back there. That's why I did 2 extra holes in the corner, because otherwise it would have gone straight across the 2 holes and it would have been bulging out. So it doesn't interact with the hinge, doesn't bother that, and it doesn't bother the use of attaching it to the silly Apple keyboard, which I guess I was doing it the right way. Anyway, Apple keyboard, I wouldn't buy it again, not for that kind of money. If it was less than 100, yes. I wouldn't buy it, no. I mean, it's too expensive, and it doesn't always work. So I think any other keyboard would be just as good. You know, and I would get something that's backlit. So for me, this $168. Don't waste your money. Absolutely don't waste your money. This $100, $90. I mean, the two together now with the modification, it's a good little combo. But you're talking about almost $300 of accessories, and I had to use a shoestring and one of those pop cap thing, whatever, you know, to make it actually have some nice features above and beyond a $20 case from Amazon or something. So anyway, if anybody's interested, I'll take close-up pictures and post them about how I drilled the holes, but it's super simple to figure out. But the two together are okay. You know, I don't know what else you're gonna do if you want this keyboard and you want some protection. The problem is if you don't have this UAG case and you have just your iPad and just the Apple keyboard, this is a pretty nice, and it's a very svelte thing. And so if I was just working at home, this would be perfectly fine. This would do. It looks nicer. It looks so much better than without this big garbagey, plasticky, thick, rubberized edge around it. You know, people come over and they go, "Oh, is that a new MacBook or what is it?" You know, they don't know. I have this thing out. They think it's an old Android tablet from 1996. You know, but this is completely inappropriate for taking outdoors. There's no protection on the iPad at all. And when you use just this keyboard and you do all this and flip it up, you know, that's okay for this, but the back is still completely in danger. The spring is, or not the spring, the magnets don't feel as nice as other products with magnets. These are kind of held on pretty loosey-goosey. I don't think, yeah, it falls instantly if you hold it from here, whereas a Surface or something, you know, they're glued basically is what it feels like. And again, deal breaker, this area that touches the screen, that's the area that you put on your dirty work surface that then is gonna mulch into your screen. Anyway, I hope some of that information was helpful for people. I appreciate you putting up with me leaning over and dying into the stupid camera. Goodbye.